Oh,
Oh, good day to you, sir, and to our audience.
our audience of none.
No, audient.
So our producer wants to know why you're so late, Mr. Went, Mr. Mark Golden Bear Went.
The reason I am so late could be summed up easily with two words: technical difficulties. Would you like more detail than that?
No, that'll suffice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh
With
boy.
new methods of broadcasting come new challenges in troubleshooting.
Yeah. And I learned that Facebook, like we scheduled it at 10:30, and
Yeah.
if we weren't streaming by 10:38, they'd kick us off.
Wow. Because they don't want to suck up bandwidth with nothingness.
I guess.
So we're live on Facebook right now.
Yeah, and YouTube. Yep.
And did you tag me so my friends know?
Probably not.
Okay. Well,
I had a snide remark there, but I'll keep it to myself.
oh, come on. Why start now?
I'm not your babysitter, bitch.
Yeah, thank you. But you've got all the production tools now, thankfully. This new,
You have access to Moped Outlaws Facebook as well.
I guess I do, don't I?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So don't be sitting back in your cold pool thinking you're all Yoda Zen. Oh, Greg's got this.
That's the man I love.
Hey, how's 59 so far?
Mixed. It's good. It's pretty good. It's okay. Could be better.
All right. Wait till you get to 69. You'll have a blast.
Yes. I think
It
so.
was
I
a
think
very
59 is going to be even more of a blast.
You think so?
Yeah.
All right. This is our 39th episode.
Whoa.
I know. Our next one's 40. That seems sort of auspicious.
Well, assuming the best. I'm slightly distracted because, of course, I was trying to log into Facebook to try and share things, but Facebook won't let me log in
Well,
as a
you
local
are really
outlier.
having technical difficulties.
Dude, if I told you what my day's been like so far, it would ruin the mood,
Damn, and it's only just begun.
right?
What the hell?
I think it could be summed up in a few short words. I don't wanna.
Well, then maybe you should get back into bed, have thyself
I
merrily,
don't wanna.
and neither does she.
That's not what we're talking about. It's just like, uh, it's fucking Friday, but it's Monday to those of you who are listening.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we have the explicit warning so I
What
can speak
explicit
my
warning?
mind on our podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you can speak freely. Actually, Facebook will kick us off if we fucking swear a lot, but you know what? I don't give a shit. What's it called now? Meta. Meta.
Meta.
Welcome to the meta world.
Yep. I heard that someone else owned that and that they were busily trying to resolve that issue.
Well, I think they resolved it because when you go into Facebook business, it's meta now. It's got this little spaghetti logo.
No, I know that they claimed it, but someone already owned it, and so there was a lawsuit.
It's always a lawsuit. If someone's got a few $1,000,000, someone's suing to get some of it.
Yeah. Yep. That's the way it goes.
Yep.
Sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
America, America.
God shed his grace on thee.
That song is fucking awesome. That
Yeah,
was a
Prince.
great album. That
Yeah.
album rocked.
Yeah. Yeah. Really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trench coat.
Yeah. All right. So our theme for today is what makes a movie great.
Yes.
And as a person entering into the movie realm, you should have some thoughts about this.
I should. I really should.
But you know what? I don't wanna.
No,
My
I
real
have some.
theme is
I was about
fuck
to
off.
launch into them, but I saw an opportunity for a good joke, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to do that first.
Good.
And I think that's an important piece. What makes a movie great is still having a sense of humor about itself, even if it's a major drama.
So my dinner with Andre was funny.
I don't know. I never watched it.
Yeah, neither did I. Who wants to watch 2 hours of two guys sitting around talking at a dinner table?
I think it won an Academy Award,
I
so it
think it
must have
did
been pretty
too.
good. Must have been
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah, I think it did well.
I think there's some philosophy in there and maybe some humor.
Oh, that just made the dinner party all the better.
Yeah. What the hell's funny about Play-Doh anyway?
Well, it comes in a little can.
Yeah. Well, Play-Doh does. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Isn't that what you
And
said?
yeah, I
Dun,
did
dun.
say that.
Um,
I spelled it differently in my mind.
I saw a movie with Bodie last weekend, Dog,
Yeah.
and we both thought it was going to be really good, and we both were like, "Nah, it wasn't really good."
This is the guy who's like a former Marine or something who ends up taking the canine from a fellow fallen soldier and transporting somewhere.
Right, going to the soldier's funeral, the family wants the dog there because it was such a part of his life, and the dog is just like a hellion, it's
Yeah.
constantly got a leather muzzle on its mouth because it just attacks people, and it's and anyway.
So apparently, a premise that's entertaining isn't enough to make a movie great.
Right, and the actor, I forget his name.
Well, that says something too.
No, if I
Yeah,
he was in Mr.
he's
Mike.
most famously known for being Mike.
Yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Tatum, Channing,
Tatum O'Neal. No,
Channing Tatum O'Neal got a sex change, beefed up. The
that tells you
plastic
what era
surgery is
I'm from.
amazing.
Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum, thank you.
His friends
Yeah,
call him
so
Chan.
like all the ingredients were on point, and it just didn't matter. Like that's part of what we were talking about is none of the scenes, even when he's in jail and the funeral's on Sunday and nothing's
Spoiler
gonna
alert.
happen. Yeah, whatever. um, like we just didn't care. It didn't emotionally pull us in.
Bingo. So one of the things that makes a movie or a film great is its emotional resonance.
Yeah, and here's the thing, lined up on a table, all the ingredients were there, but it didn't happen.
Right. Yeah. It sounds
It's
like they didn't stir the pot enough, or there's this lack of a singular vision where there's one person's artistic vision isn't there, and then there's also the overabundance of too many visions all in the same pot.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. One thought I had is if there were budget constraints. So like it was like this is where he's in the bar getting drunk. This is where he's in jail. This is where he meets two girls. This is where the dog and him are at the beach. It was like that, there was no
It was just too packed. It was as if an artificial intelligence wrote the story.
or made the movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because on some level there's a lot of financial risk, so people want to be like, well, we better cover our bases. But greatness lies at the edges. Greatness is the willingness to take chances, and that means with characters that are somewhat unlikable, anti-heroes, if you will, or with settings and a cinematography language that is unusual and odd. And I know that at some point we're going to get to this. What makes a movie great is darkness.
I just shoot, I heard a phrase the other day like scared money. You can't make money with scared money.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was. Yeah,
that makes total sense. Yeah, because it becomes imprisoned money. And money is just energy anyway, right? I mean, we're all hip and you know, everybody's waking up now. We're woke enough to know that money is just energy. It's just another form of psychic energy.
yeah. That's interesting because I told PG&E that, and they said, "It doesn't matter. Give us your money, your cold hard cash.
Well,
Why
they
you gotta
want
be so
theirs. It's
funny?"
not, yeah, it's reasonable for them to want theirs,
I tried to give them batteries. Said, "Hey, it's just a different form of energy."
right? They said, "Do you have anything in a silver battery?"
Yeah, exactly.
Although the way things have been going with this war going on, I think the value of
Gasoline.
nickel's been going up quite a bit. So your nickel might be worth a dime
Really?
now.
What about gasoline? Here's 2 gallons of gasoline.
Yeah, it went down yesterday, which
Oh,
was
really?
weird. Yeah, I was like, I better fill up before it goes higher, and then the next day it went down.
Like a crack addict hooker.
Oh, yes. So greatness is vision, imagination, execution. Um,
All right, what's one of your top all-round movies like you could watch over and over again?
well, before I answer that, I'm going to say one that I used to think I could watch over and over again. And the last time I watched it, I couldn't watch it, but it is
Wow.
a great movie. It is definitely, a fantastic movie. And that's Young Frankenstein by Mel Brooks.
Ah!
But I've watched it now so many times that there's no more punchlines. I know everything, right? So that
Right.
was sad. Um, God, well, I'll just say first thought, best thought that when 2001 by Stanley Kubrick was like the first film I thought of. And one of the reasons I said that is because, I watched it as a kid with my parents and I was like, what the hell? And
I
then later
know.
on, I tried to watch it again and I was like, I'm curious. Like, I still don't get this, but I was like, I get the deep symbolism now. And then, like 2 years ago, I watched it and I go, oh, the obelisk is a cell phone. That's right. That's what it is. People are staring at it. No,
Smashing it.
yeah, so ultimately, um, mystery, thought provoking, right? Another one that made me feel
Yeah,
like
but and you mentioned Young Frankenstein. That isn't really thought-provoking.
it is too.
It is?
Yeah.
How is it thought-provoking? You keep looking at them titties. Nice knockers. Oh, thank you.
You may be right. It may not be that thought provoking. Thought provoking enough that you talk to your friends about it.
It was a funny movie.
Yeah. It was a black and white film at a time when color was still the mainstay. Why am I defending this movie?
I'm not picking it apart.
Okay.
I'm just
You're
saying,
right.
like,
It's not thought provoking. It's just funny, which is enough, right?
well, it
Um,
was intelligent humor. Maybe that's it.
yeah, and a
The
little bit of
intelligence was
adolescent humor.
behind the scenes, like,
Yeah, yeah.
hmm.
Um, Interstellar is also another sort of Kubrick style movie where at the end of it, I was like, oh my God. And we had like an hour-long conversation after we watched it. And that's one of the things I think about as what makes a movie great is after people leave the movie, they want to talk about it with each other and go over how it felt to be there and the things that really stuck with them.
Now, what about in film history? There's the famous scene of a razor slitting open a woman's eye that I think Salvador Dali and some other guy were involved with the making of the movie. And it was just so, like, that scene has been spoken of so much because it was such a shocking scene.
Well, in this case, it's more than innovation, right? Innovation is one thing, but this is downright like surprise at the highest level, right?
Which one, Interstellar or
No, what you're talking about. What I don't
right?
know the name of this film, but it's
I
like
don't either.
shocking revelations give people a new experience, a novel experience. So another element of greatness is that it's a novel experience, that there's something amazingly new in it, even if it's terrifying and ugly.
You know what that just reminded me of? Remember the movie Something About Mary?
Yes.
And when he got his balls stuck in the
Zipper.
and I remember thinking, oh my God, it'd be so funny if they showed this, but of course they can't. And right then, boom, they
Boom.
cut. And I was
There
like,
it is.
oh my God. That was such a shock. I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great movie.
It really is a great movie. It stands the test of time. It's, there's movies that are camp like that, that on the surface, like if you're Roger Ebert or some other amazing film critic, you're going to be like, well, yeah, okay, right? But to people who don't watch with a critical eye necessarily, there's a way for them to connect with both the humor, the intrigue, right? You have to root for people.
I wonder if Smokey and the Bandit had a good critical.
I'm sure it did not.
And yet it banked and it was hella funny.
They made 3 of them.
Yeah. Well, the first one was brilliant, man.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it would stand the test of time.
I know. I don't know either. All right. So
People
what?
had to go back and watch it.
All right. So, Young Frankenstein's one of your top films.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so many. I think
Really?
Empire Strikes Back is amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you were in it.
No, I'm not in Empire.
Aren't you the guy in the shadow in that one scene?
No. But what was amazing to me about it is this. In that film, Luke is the fatherless child coming into his adulthood. And Yoda is the great mentor who teaches him the ways of the Force. And so the relationship I had with myself and my perception of my relationship with my father really brought a deep psychological impact to that relationship. So and I think for a lot of men my age that saw Empire when they were teenagers, a lot of families were being disrupted at that point. There was a lot of divorce. And so I think that was part of what made it resonate, was the deeper, shadowy aspects of the missing father figure and the way that Yoda, became the mentor in that. Plus the cinematography is badass.
That was a good one.
I think that's another element of greatness in the film, is the visual language has to be novel and new, but it also has to be cohesive. It has to have a style.
Yeah, I was thinking about Tarantino because his films are like, he thinks that his Death Race was his worst film, and that he says it really cost him in the industry making that. Well, not Death Race. What was it called? The one with Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah.
What
I
was
think
that called?
I don't know. Death Race, maybe?
No, it wasn't Death Race.
I'll look it up.
Anyway, I thought it was. I stayed away
Death
from it.
Proof.
Death Proof. That's right. Death
Yeah.
Proof. I stayed away from it because I knew like he and his buddy Rodriguez were emulating the whole slash and gore thing of the early 70s. But I watched it and it was really good. Like his ability to make a film is on such a high level.
Well, yeah, and he's an interesting personality too, because he seems like he's somewhat on the spectrum. He's a savant in many ways, and he's like, the fact that if he were listening to the show every time we couldn't just instantly name a movie, he would just be like, he would hate us, because he's a walking film encyclopedia, right?
Yeah.
He could tell you the cinematographer, he could tell you all this stuff about every film probably.
Yeah.
And I think that's an element of greatness too, is that the director needs to have an informed sensibility so that he can create style out of the pantheon of great film.
but thinking of him and Spike Lee, like they created like you were talking about, a cinema look. Like they each have such a distinct look for their films. And I'm thinking of Spike, who invented that dolly shot where, a person's just sort of dolling down a
Yeah, the
roadway.
dolly zoom mix, right? Where you
Right,
zoom and you dolly at the same time.
right.
Yeah.
And um I'm gonna have to use the mute button on today's episode.
It's about fucking time. How
I
many
know,
times are you
right?
gonna do that without using the mute button?
Probably another 45 minutes. So be ready, everyone.
Okay, good. Yeah,
Um,
what I realize is how uneducated I am in cinema. Like my uncle teaches this class every now and again in Montana about the great cinema classics, right? And there's like I should know some of them. He's told me them before, but I can't remember them to save my life. And these are amazing, great works in cinema in time. And um, I was looking into stuff, for some of us who know a guy named John Cordy, who was involved with Sesame Street and some other great films. He was involved in um, a film that is an amazing animation film, and no one's really seen it. It's Twice Upon a Time. Yeah,
Once
and
upon a time.
yeah, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, John Cordy, Charles Swanson. It's a really amazing animated film, and it's an amazing work of art, but no one really knows much about it, right? And so there's all these great, quote, great films that people haven't heard of.
Yeah, I don't know this one.
Yeah, it's amazing. And
Well, the animation looks kind of like. Did John Cordy do stuff for Disney?
he did stuff for Sesame Street, and he did animation, but he also was a live action director and initially in his career a cinematographer. And we should just say that on March 8th this week he died, and the reason he's top of mind is because some of my Facebook friends and fellow musician friends are his relatives. And so I was thinking about John Cordy today, and I was realizing that he had a kind of quiet greatness about him. Like he's not super famous, but his films have their own visual language and their own stylistic language and their quality. But I
Well,
think
'cause it still has him alive.
I know
The internet's.
they haven't figured it out yet because he's not super
No.
famous. But what I would say is that greatness, one, can be subjective to people, right? It depends on your point of view. But objective greatness, where it's just universally accepted, that's the kind of greatness I think we're talking about, where pretty much everyone says, yeah, 5 stars.
I don't know. That one I disagree with because I think Fight Club is an amazing movie. Like I think that's a great movie, and it's definitely not everyone's cup of tea,
Yeah. Not everyone would want to see it or want to sit through it or whatever.
or think it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. Well, then that sort of narrows down like what are the greatest movies of time? Like, can we say Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, like I think because I was just going to talk about Apocalypse Now, and when I very first saw it, I thought I was okay, but it was a bit of a mess. And then I think they put out a re-edited version. They let
I think they did 2 director's cuts, actually.
right, but I remember one where I was like, "Oh, that was a good movie," and then also learning about the story. And I'm wondering if Wizard of Oz is similar, where part of its greatness is it's being such a what do you call it? Like a part of life nowadays, like the Wicked Witch of the West is still some character everyone identifies with it. You know what I mean? Like I think the
Yeah.
movie still What am I trying to say? Where it's in popular culture, it's anyway. It's in popular culture. That's how you say it, Greg.
Well, what I think about is there's a lot of symbolism in the film that's useful, and that gives it depth. But then there's another piece here, which is, I'll just call it out. Like, in a white bread world, it's a classic, but not every culture might see it that way.
I think in
So
the United States, I think it's
exactly,
popular around the world.
yeah, I'm sure it is. And greatness is such a thing. What's objectively great? Like, uh, I don't know. Like,
Well, I
for
think
me,
that the remake of Oz with who
Diana Ross and Michael Jackson.
right, but who was Quincy Jones? Wasn't he the producer behind that?
I think so.
Yeah, like those are some, like, especially when it came out, they were super A-list entertainers
Mm-hmm.
and of color, and like they chose that story to.
Yeah. Well, and it's it's an interesting symbolism, and I think that's part of what great cinema is it's there's a layer below the surface that provides something nourishing and mysterious to be curious about. Like, instead of walking out of the movies just feeling satisfied, you walk out of the movies feeling satisfied and reviewing it in your mind, looking for things that are there that you haven't quite digested yet, that you haven't quite figured out yet.
Okay, do you think that when that is the shadow aspects of life, is that a great movie? Like, did you ever see Requiem for a Dream?
I think I did watch it once. It's been a long, long time. One of the reasons I was curious about it was because it was shot here in Marin County.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Bolinas features prominently in it and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. But it's so dark, right?
So is that a great movie?
Well, I don't think so, because I watched it once and I'm right now, what I notice in my body and as I react is kind of like, eh.
Oh, really?
But Exorcist was a very impactful movie. I don't know if it was a great movie. It really, really achieved its objectives. It scared a lot of people,
Yeah, it's
right?
still to this day is scaring people.
And I'm so scared I won't even watch it. I've never watched it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
Uh,
So there's greatness in that. Like, how that's weird. Like, it's so great a movie that I'm afraid to watch it.
yeah. What about, did you ever see a movie that came out in the late 80s called Henry's Portrait of a Serial Killer?
I don't think I've seen that. No.
Phew, that was scary because you got inside the head of a serial killer. Like, you know how when a movie's really good, it's in you? Like there was a
Mhm.
serial killer in you. It
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
I remember I saw it with Chris Dienstog, and we walked out of the theater in Sausalito. We both didn't say shit for like 20 minutes. And then I think one of us went like, whoa. And the other was like, yeah. Like,
Yeah, like, you want to take a psychic bath after that.
exactly, man.
Get the smudge stick out.
Yeah. Did you ever see the one, oh, Natural Born Killers?
I did see that.
Okay. What that was about, Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer was like documentary of that theme. You know how
Got it.
that showed how people could,
Well, there's a kind of tongue-in-cheek nature to Natural Born Killers.
damn it.
Greg put his tongue in his cheek and coughed. That's what happened.
I went to hit the mute button, but I was
And
starting to
missed.
cough already. And yeah, the mouse started sliding all over the place. There must be a way to program a mute button.
There's a box you can buy now that's like it's a big button, and you just hit it and it mutes you.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
But it takes up yet another USB port in a
Yeah.
world of diminishing USB port
Get it.
access.
That's shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, give me an example of one of your top greats that you would call as one of the best.
Well, there is a scene, and I think the movie's great, but the scene I've watched over and over, and we could watch it right now, and I would watch it. Dang it, I apologize. I like got this cold or something Sunday, and it's still
Hanging
obviously
on.
hanging on. Yeah.
Yeah, you got cold out on the bridge with us.
I wonder if that was it. Anyway.
So what's this scene?
Gosh,
Oh,
darn
yeah,
it.
that coughing scene. Yeah, I remember that. Like,
Yeah.
there was that movie, that art house movie, that was a bunch of outtakes from films where actors cough instead of deliver their lines, and it's just like 2 hours of people coughing.
Yeah, it was the Andy Warhol movie.
Yeah, there's lots of spittle and people's faces turning really red and their eyes bugging way out, and
it's
reminds me of bong hits I took in college.
True Romance. The scene from True Romance that Tarantino wrote the screenplay for. And the scene is between Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper. It's about a 10-minute long scene. And it is perfection. The dialogue is perfect. Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper are perfect. The soundtrack is perfect. The edits, everything is so on point.
So this is with Christian Slater, Dennis Hopper, Val Kilmer, those guys, Brad Pitt,
Yep, Brad Pitt.
Walken.
Yep.
Okay. In Detroit, a lonely pop culture geek marries a call girl, steals cocaine from her pimp, and tries to sell it in Hollywood. Meanwhile, the owners of the cocaine, the mob, track them down in an attempt to reclaim it.
Yeah. So
directed by Tony Scott, written by Quentin Tarantino.
Yep. And the scene, Christopher Walken is the mob guy, the head. Dennis Hopper is Christian Slater's dad. And it's brilliant.
Awesome. Well, I'm definitely going to check that out. This film, at the time I watched it, I thought it was amazing, and it still is pretty amazing. But the Heavy Metal movie, the original one, because Heavy Metal magazine had an artistic style, a graphic novel style, and Heavy Metal the movie proved that you could evoke that same level of artistic style in an animated feature and maintain the kind of look to it. And I remember reading about it taking so long because a lot of it was rotoscoped, right? So they had to act the scenes out and then have people draw over the actors, and and of course it's misogynist. I mean, the whole Heavy Metal magazine is basically uses TNA as one of its selling points, so that it doesn't stand the test of time for that because it treats women poorly. But I was watching it a couple days ago as we were thinking about this. I didn't watch the whole thing. I was just like, because I was like, is it really as good as I remember? Like, that's another thing to consider with our great movies, like the experience we have, and then later we're like, yeah, that was great, and then when you go back to it, maybe it's like, not so much.
Yeah, there was a movie that happened. Like, I remember started with Jonah, and it just was like, oh, this isn't.
Oh man, this is hard to witness.
It's hard to be a part of.
Maybe you need to get that inhaler going, bud. Like you said no the last time we talked about. Yeah, you're used to being quiet and hammering away on the pixels.
Yeah.
All right, so let's narrow this down because I have a favorite film company, and you know who they are probably. And like there's a whole lot of controversy about whether they're great or not. But I think some of them are great. So of all the Lucasfilm pantheons, pre-Disney, like not Disney, but Lucasfilm proper, what do you think is his greatest film?
What was the name of that film with Tom Cruise?
I don't think he was in a Lucasfilm.
You sure?
No. But what's the basic concept of the story? Is it the car cruising one?
That was good.
Yeah,
American.
American Graffiti is amazing, and it revolutionized film. It shows a lot of cinematic language. It was one of the first films to have multiple storylines that are intercut. They're not told linearly. There's a lot of greatness in that film.
Yeah.
Is that what you would pick?
No. I'm trying to. I can't remember the name of it. It was that
Well, what's the
fantasy one.
fantasy one?
I'm being tongue in cheek. I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
Remember what was that one he did and it just got panned?
Well, they've all been panned in certain ways. Are you talking about Radioland Murders?
What?
Radioland Murders?
No, did he do that?
Yeah.
He directed that?
Yep. Well, no, he produced it. I don't think he directed it. I don't think there's been a Lucasfilm that had Tom Cruise in it. Like, I don't think that exists.
All right.
That's why I was asking you what the vibe of the film is, what the story is. But of the ones that you know about.
All right. Talking about directing. Oh, I guess he didn't direct it. God,
So it's a Tom Cruise movie that George Lucas didn't direct and didn't produce, but it's the best Lucasfilm movie ever made. If I make you laugh, you're going to cough.
I'm going to cough anyway.
Yeah.
Willow.
Oh, that's Val Kilmer.
No. It had such promise.
It was a good movie.
It was okay.
They're making a sequel.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm not. I'm excited.
All right. The greatest movie that George Lucas has ever been involved with is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
So say that again. I only heard the last part.
The first Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Is
Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's it.
That's your favorite Lucasfilm movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty hard not to love that movie. It's got everything.
When I saw it, I went to the big theater in Corte Madera and I was on mushrooms. And I just remember, like, oh my God, it was the best.
Yeah, it really was. And Steven Spielberg had a lot to do with that movie. Like, it's a Spielberg-Lucas combination. It was produced under Lucasfilm, but they collaborated on it. And I think that's one of the reasons it's so good.
Yeah. Like two friends got together and made their favorite movie based on like their favorite movies.
Well, and the story is that when Star Wars was done, George thought he had a lemon on his hands, and he was like wanted to go lick his wounds and just get away for a while. So he and Steven and their wives went to Hawaii to just hang out. And while they were in Hawaii, they were designing the basic concept for Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark. And then Star Wars hits, right? And so now they know they have the money to make Raiders of the Lost Ark. So,
yeah, I heard that each of them, like Spielberg thought Jaws was just going to tank his career, and Lucas thought Star Wars was going to tank his career, and both of them
felt like there was just so much wrong with the movies,
but
because their vision compared to what they shot, it didn't add up, right? They didn't see the thing they wanted to see.
We might have to re-record this one, man. I don't know.
You need some peppermint tea, probably.
But I heard that they each get a profit from the other's movie because they made a bet.
Oh, I've never heard of this before. What bet did they make? They made a bet that if Greg coughs 5 more times, then he has to pay me $100.
Yeah. That, like...
Okay, there's one. That's the first 20.
Like Spielberg, to bolster George said, I'll make you a bet. Oh, forget it.
Oh my God. This is like horrific to witness. Like, just imagine
This is
watching
our
your friend
first this stuff.
choking on everything.
Yeah.
Can't get a word out, in complete denial that he's asthmatic. Like, oh,
It's not asthmatic. Like I can just feel my sinuses are so plugged.
oh man. I feel for you. Did you have caffeine today?
No.
Oh, that's probably part of it too.
Yeah.
Because
What do
you
you
have
think?
caffeine every day.
Should we like re-record this?
Fuck no.
Oh my god.
Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry, people.
I know it's tough, but you know, my experiences with trying to capture the zeitgeist again on stuff like this is it just won't work. Like,
Yeah, that's
we can
real.
have the one that doesn't have the coughs in it, but it'll sound like a bunch of guys looking at cardboard. Wow, man. I noticed the
This is it.
crinkles over
This is,
there.
I'm sick, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm
So
dying.
kudos to you for showing up.
Well, I don't know if that's kudos.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
you're here.
So, yeah, what I heard is that George bolstered Spielberg and Spielberg bolstered George.
But
And there was
deal,
some kind of a bet involved in like, I bet your movie's going to do great. And,
I bet so much that I'll give you half of
no,
mine.
3% or, some small percentage if it does. And
Yeah. It's good to have partners like that who will step forward and like put their money where their mouth is and say like, this is, I believe in you. And, I believe in you so much that you should pay me for that.
I'm nodding yes. If I talk, I'm going to just cough.
Yeah. It's caulking, toffing.
The rest of this episode is going to be brought to you by Mark Golden Bear Went, and I'm going to be this.
He's going to be the occasional thing. It's going to be as if someone keeps yanking the cord out of his microphone. So, I think we're at a point where it's almost impossible to have this discussion, but I'll just reiterate and recap because that's what I do. I'm a recapper. So some of the greatest films are great as a result of the emotional resonance they have, the cinematography, and then there's this idea of flavor of each individual writer and director having like a kind of zeitgeist, a style that comes forward. And we've also realized that like there are classics like Wizard of Oz in 2001, but there's also films that are great to some people, but to others they're not. For instance, Greg really, really loved, oh, I can't remember the name of it. Oh, darn it.
Fight Club.
Fight Club. That's it. Yeah. See, first rule of Fight Club, there is no film called Fight Club. Anyway, so yeah, here's an invitation. If you are watching this or listening to it, send us a list of what you think the greatest films are. And if we like it, if we actually get a list, we'll mention your name on the air. Or if you, maybe we will not, and so that you don't feel embarrassed or whatever. But I'll just say this, that this is not a great film. The one you're watching right now is not necessarily a great film. Greg's messing with me now by changing the size of things because he can use his fingers, but he can't use his voice. So I'm so glad I didn't shave this morning because now you're really getting an eyeful of my gorgeousness. Yes. Oh, that's better. Hey, we switched sides. All of this technology is not proof of a great movie. Like that's an important thing. Like sometimes a great movie is not just its technology. Although The Fifth Element was based on technology quite a bit. And I really liked that movie. And I haven't ever seen a Tarantino movie that I didn't like.
What about remember when what was that computer movie with
Tron?
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was really good. It was a groundbreaking cinematography. Yeah. It was a little short on emotional resonance, right?
I thought it did all right with emotional resonance.
It's okay.
Yeah. And it was the first movie that had completely computer generated graphics.
Yeah. I also want to call out Harrison Ford. Like Harrison Ford's been in a lot of the really great movies of my lifetime. And in particular, we already mentioned Raiders of the Lost Ark. Um, I think that
Witness was a great movie.
Witness is a great movie. Um, Blade Runner is a good movie. We should mention Ridley Scott's pantheon of work. Like he made some really great movies. Alien is one of the great all-time great movies. Just really well constructed, the cinematography, the tension, and all of that stuff.
And that was another horror movie where I remember leaving the theater and being just
just like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah. Like stunned. So like, like you're just kind of like
also unnerved, quiet,
Yeah.
like holy shit. Kind of like unnerved.
Yeah. Like your nervous system is shut down from the intensity of it.
Or it's on ultra high alert because at any
Yeah.
moment you're thinking something's gonna get you.
A cat will jump out of a locker.
Right.
Jaws was also like that. A lot of people had a hard time swimming after that in the ocean.
I liked Scream, and I'm not a slash and gore person, but I liked the humor of Scream and it taking the genre of those movies and kind of poking fun at it, and at the same time being one of those movies.
Yeah. I also think that it's worth noting that a kind of camp film that's production values are low and that isn't really like a deeply significant, in terms of its philosophy or plot, although you could argue this. Rocky Horror Picture Show had an amazing impact on the American culture.
It's a great movie.
It really is a great movie. And, God bless Meatloaf, who's departed now. Who else?
Well, Animal House, if we're talking about low budget.
Animal House too, right?
I watched that with Jonah, and he thought, oh my God, this is brilliant. I was like, that movie.
See, I think it's been long enough that I could watch Animal House and laugh again because I don't remember all the jokes, but I'm not sure of that. Like that's what I thought about Young Frankenstein, was that I would be able to enjoy it again because I'd forget parts of it. But that basically every frame in that film is amazing and funny.
Life of Brian, I think, is a brilliant movie.
Yeah. Time Bandits. If you haven't seen Time Bandits, if you're, not in your 40s or older and you haven't seen Time Bandits, you definitely gotta see Time Bandits. It's a great, great film.
Yeah.
The late George Harrison was involved in the production of that. Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
Not so great. Back to the Future, like good movie, but not great. Right? Like there's a lot of good films that aren't great.
See, that was a great summer movie, though. I remember totally feeling satiated with Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, it was fun. But there's a great summer movie, which isn't necessarily an objectively, universally great movie, right?
Right, like the Iron Man series is kind of.
Yeah, it's good.
There was a movie. Oh, the one with Robin Williams where he
Good Will Hunting.
No, where he played Fisher King.
Oh yeah. That's a great dramatic movie. Very intelligent, well written. Yeah,
brilliantly acted, and the story, the plot line.
Well, I have high hopes for Hamlet, the new Hamlet. I'd like to see that. That could Denzel Washington could be great in that, and I've heard great things about it. What's a movie that you are hoping is great that you haven't seen yet, that's either out or about to be out?
The one that's on Netflix this weekend with the little kid, The Making of Adam, I think it's called.
The Making of Adam, ATOM. Okay. So those are our two movie picks. We've decided that Moped Outlaws is just going to be a movie review show from now on. So hopefully you like the new direction we're taking. Rick laughed so hard he's coughing again. No surprise there.
This is a painful episode.
Poor guy.
Hey, John Cordy directed the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman.
Yeah, he made a significant contribution to this history of cinema in our culture, and it's telling that some of our great artists don't get the fame that they necessarily.
I wonder if that's because that's the way they want it to be.
Perhaps he seems like a quietly devoted, you know, craft of film type of guy.
You know
Um,
who else I think just is a great filmmaker is Steven Soderbergh.
Yes. I
He
mean,
just
we
can
could spend
film.
hours going through this. The thing about American cinematography and cinema history is we have a huge, huge, huge pantheon of amazing work to discover. It's seemingly endless, except when you've got the remote in your hand and you're looking at Netflix going, why can't I find anything good to watch? Maybe that's a time to shut the TV off and get a good book. This is the book I'm reading, Cronies
That's very sad to me.
by Ken Babs.
It's very sad to me.
Sorry to make you sad, Greg. I'll just say this. When I came in here, I was blue and somewhat depressive and feeling like not very good. Like my energy level was low. And right now, I think I'm going to kill myself. No, I'm just
Hi.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
Congratulations.
I feel really good, actually. I'm so grateful to be here, riding the rails with the Kaufmeister himself. We're going to get him a Robitussin subscription from Amazon.
Yeah. Whoops.